two, three, four.
Hi, this is Musin, and welcome back to another Yakuza Like a Dragon No Changing Jobs run. Before we continue, I just want to thank you all guys for the feedback and the support. I know I'm still rough around the edges, but I'll improve, guys, for the sake of your enjoyment. Anyways, let's continue where we left off. Okay, let me just say one thing before we continue with the challenge. Every fight that is not a boss fight is basically the same for me. Everything I'm gonna say regarding them would always be the same, so let me just say it all here now so that I won't have to mention it later on. All goons fights are basically boring and repetitive, and I don't blame the game for it. Rather, I blame the premise of the challenge because jobs makes the game a lot more fun in this game, and with us restricting ourselves on using jobs, any random battles will feel like a chore for me. It will feel boring, repetitive, and a drag. And that sentiment would remain the same for the duration of this challenge run. But the dungeons are a different matter, so depending on what dungeon it is, I maybe would discuss about it. So, let's talk about the boss fights. Takabe. Takabe is just... He doesn't really offer me that much, though he hits hard. For me, he's just a glorified goons that has a higher health than normal. We focused every party member to attack Takabe, to take him out first, and then the rest of the battle just turns out to be a normal goon fight. Jungihan, this is a boss fight I actually felt engaged, and this is also the first boss fight where we are forced to change our party members because of our whole Nanba situation here. But the fun part is that we are able to buff our attack now with Ichiban's new skill and debuff evasion and accuracy Eri skill as well. Though, there were minor hiccups in this boss fight and not all smooth despite the buffs and debuffs because Han can inflict poison with poison shot just like what he did here with Adachi. And he can also stun us just like what he also did here with Psycho. But this boss fight is pretty much doable and we were able to defeat him by buffing, debuffing, and attacking consistently with healing when necessary. After the whole boss fight, we upgraded what we needed in Roman's workshop, did the Ichiban convections, and move on to the next story chapters. Speaking of the next story chapters, Mabuchi. So, Mabuchi hits a little bit more hard than what we faced before. So, I made sure to lower his attack this time with Psycho, and again, accuracy and evasion with Eri, and a buff with Ichiban. Then again, we pummel him to death with our trusty strongest attacks, and he's particularly weak to Adachi's attack. I don't know if it's because of the eyes or just in general. I don't know. There would also be times where I would have to guard whenever he uses Resolute Counter. He also has this counter move called Petal Blossom Cake that also lowers your defense. So, I really have to be careful on attacking him because my own attack could possibly wipe my party and cause me to repeat the run. Even his normal attacks hit so hard, chat. Like, every time he attacks any of the party member, I always have to heal so that I can keep my party alive. He also has this Crimson Aura in the middle of the fight that raises his damage for 2 levels, and I don't know why, but I use Giri Buster Home instead of Gondawara here. Maybe my brain is already rotting at the time. Also, he has a Dragon Breaker move that is the strongest attack in his second phase. This attack, despite perfect guarding, got me to Death's Door with 19 health with the dodge. And you might say I am overreacting, but survivability of the party is a must in every boss fight because it helps us to be more flexible in battle. I swear to everyone I love, once we lose a party member, everything gets fucked up. Well, to everyone's surprise, My dub ass finally used Gondawara and we finally took out Babuchi with a mega swing. The beginning of the tough boss fights. Continue with the next boss, we defeat these dudes and these dudes. Nothing to write here, just time consuming. We also bought a lot of Ichiban fried senbei for the meme. In my defense, it was good for business and little did I know that this would come handy later on. We then fight many Omi Alliance Yakuza dressing as a member of Bleach Japan, and Adachi died but we managed to push through and fight the stupid Wrecking Ball. Okay, this stupid boss fights hits a lot. And due to Adachi dying last encounter, we spent our first move healing him. After healing him, I immediately attacked him unknowingly that he would drop me a big attack right off the bat, putting Ichiban in grave danger and stunned. This boss stuns a lot and unfairly hits 2 times in a single move. I tried perfect guarding some but that always leads me to stunning my party members, so I opted to, well, just tanking every hits. We then focus on the survivability of the whole party with us healing constantly and only attacking once per turn. This way we can damage the boss without risking too much. We then eventually dealt enough damage to the Wrecking Ball with Ishioda getting stunned along with it. We quickly damaged him until he went back to the Wrecking Ball with us having the final stretch of the fight. I then summoned the chicken, enraged the boss with Adachi's skill, healed by using Ichiban Fried Senbei. Please comment W Ichiban Fried Senbei to pay our respects. We also healed with Ichiban and keep dealing damage to him and eventually beat this stupid boss fight with Psycho skill attack. MVP of the fight, Ichiban Fried Senbei. But we can't rest just yet as we enter another boss fight. Fun. Really fun. Ishioda and Nanba.
Why?
Okay, we already know why. And if you don't, what the hell are you doing here? And well, this boss fight is hard but we got lucky. Psycho's new skill immediately inflicted the fear to Nanba, rendering him useless for the whole duration of the fight. We then focused every attack to Ishioda but he has a counter this time and we are severely under leveled here. And every attack hits like a truck and that's apply from the boss fights to goons. We then use our trusty Ichiban Fight Senbei to keep our party alive, use Gary Buster Holmes but got countered by Ishioda really quick, putting fear to Ichiban. Great, really great. But we then use a Stamina X and an item to lift the status ailment to Ichiban, finally back at tip-top shape at a cost of 2 turns. We then continued dealing damage to Ishioda and managed to finally defeat him. Unfortunately though, he took Psycho before we finally defeated him. Nanba's status effect wore off too and immediately took out Eri in the battle, making it a 2v2 fight. And it wasn't long until we finally defeated Nanba and took out the rest of the goons in this fight. Man, that was a good fight. But before we move on, if you are still watching and liking the video, please subscribe. This takes a lot of work for me to do and I would very much appreciate it if you could just like the video and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying it. The Tiger. This boss fight is hard because he is too strong for the current party and he also deals a lot of bleed damage to us and even took Psycho with a bleed and killed Eri with a normal attack. But then again, the same strategy persists. And at the end, you can see me healing Ichiban and Adachi back and forth and slowly but surely dealing damage until we take the tiger out. This boss was fun, but this was so difficult. This is the first boss fight that I struggled with. It made me really nervous and the lack of the strategies that I can do in this challenge gets really stale now, and if you are bored, I won't blame you because I am too. Uchi and Ishioda the rematch. It's the same fight in different place but with more goons. That's it. Well, we prioritized defeating the goons first before we dealt with Mabuchi. Eri died but we eventually defeated him, leveling all us up. So, there would be full heals. Nanba finally rejoined the party and we are now fighting Ishioda. Nanba replaced Saigo, so we aren't really losing much in this boss fight. Rather, this brought up a really good strategy for us. We can deal debuffs with Nanba and Eri, buffs with Ichiban, and deal damage with Adachi, and eventually use Pyro Prison to deal damage with the goons. We also have a few close ones in this boss fight with Ishioda's big damage and fear-inflicting attacks, but it's nothing that a good old healing can fix. We defeated Ishioda and finally once again skip every cutscenes and fight the dude with the tuna blade. Speaking of the guy who has a tuna blade. So this guy is weak to lightning, so I fucking spam the shit out of this dude. I also have Zhao and Jungihan now with the party, and I have the electric element in the bat of Ichiban's now, so I spammed him with that and that was pretty easy. Majima and Saijima. So, Majima is really crazy. He can deal bleed and paralysis at the same time, so this is one of the most strategized fight I have to go through in this run so far. So here's the plan. Actually, there's no plan. But I assigned specific party members to do stuff in the battle and still went with it blindly. So, Xiao is an items duty, healing, restore, buff, whatever. Nanba is for debuffing, Ichiban for buffs and damage dealing, and Jungihan as a damage hitter with head trauma being the main skill we prioritize in this boss fight. And we did just that. There were minor hiccups but we managed to persist and eventually triggered Majima's doppelganger. Now, one of the mistakes I always do is quickly take out the doppelganger. Because of that, Majima immediately joins the fray, fucking every strategy that we have. So, I made sure to damage Majima this time up to a point where he can't be damaged anymore. I then called the cat poundmate, took out every doppelganger with the pyro prison, and Saijima finally enters the fight. We then ignored him from quite a while and prioritized dealing with Majima to avoid any more trouble. I used Jungian's head trauma again and again and would occasionally heal with Zhao and Ichiban and use Pyro Prison, but that triggered Sajima's Tiger Spirit, meaning we are fucked. But we survived their duo attack, used head trauma again to Majima, and heal with Ichiban. We then debuffed Majima for the last time until Saijima took Nanda out. This battle is getting really difficult now, but we persist with the same strategy until Zhao was also taken out too. We then use our defense poundmate and one last head trauma to finally defeat Majima. Now that the burden has been lightened as we are one step closer to success, we also immediately use Nancy in this boss fight as I believe that Poison would win us this boss fight. We also debuffed him using Gondawara, buff ourselves with Ichiban, use the poundmates, keep us at full health, use poison shot when necessary, and repeat the cycle all over again. Though, because of my own greediness, instead of healing with Jungihan, I opted for a head trauma and Jungihan got wiped with a rush combo. And at this point, I thought it was a dead run. But screw it. I maintained the whole strategy with me still using poundmates, healing at every turn, and Saijima is still poisoned, so even if I just guarded, I would probably win it. His health was slowly chipping away, getting close to death, and with one last attack, I used Orbital Laser. I finally bested this boss fight. And I think this is where we are gonna stop for today. The sorts of boss fights we had to go through were definitely hard, but it was definitely fun too, unlike what I just experienced in the first video. I am definitely having fun and I hope you are too. And hey, thank you so much for subscribing. I finally hit 50 subscribers and I am so thankful to you guys. I promise I won't make you regret subscribing to this channel, and if you are a new viewer and you want more of these types of contents, subscribe. It means a lot to me and it motivates me a lot to do more of this type of content, pushing me to improve more and to do more. Let me get to 69 subscribers because nice. Maybe even 169 subs because again, nice. And I will definitely finish this challenge run with the finale hoping to be released next week. If you want more of this content, check out my Final Fantasy VII Remake only run, and if you want something different, check out my new Before the series. Again, this is Musin, and see you on the next one. Peace.